What's up, YouTube? My name is Johnny Butters, and today we are reviewing the version 1 of the legendary Canon 400mm f2.8L IS USM. Now, I believe this is also the cheapest 400mm f2.8 you can get. So let's get into some pictures, some videos. Let's talk about the lens, and then I'm going to show you how you can get this lens for rather cheap. So let's jump into it. All right, jumping straight into the computer, you can see I got my version of the lens right here. I believe I got it for $4,500 off POTN, aka Photography on the Net. I will link that site below. There's other sites we're going to get into where you can get this lens later in the video, but for right now, I'm going to show you my version. It was pretty damn clean, no paint chips or any issues with it. It was very mint, very, very happy with that. Here's a picture of me holding it. Now, keep in mind, this is the version 1 lens. They have significantly reduced the weight over the years, and I believe this one, version 1, is, I think, 11.8 pounds. So it's definitely a heavy piece of glass, but I actually got used to it. I don't mind the weight. I also have the 100 to 400 IS2, and I actually get better results on this lens doing pans and handhold shots than I did on the 100 to 400 too, which is kind of surprising. The more weight you have, believe it or not, keeps the shot more steady. Now here's me at Homestead. I was doing a video for a race day, so I had it on a tripod, just doing some pans, and I would swap lenses and run around the track all day. So that was kind of cool. And now let's get into the pictures. Oh, also, I had the legendary 200 1.8, not the new one with the IS, the 1.8. Those kind of matched up pretty cool. So I had that lens for a few days thanks to a friend. So if you want a review on that, I do have some pictures and some raw files I can post up if you're curious about getting that lens, because that lens is also cheap versus the new f2 IS variant. So let me know. All right, so jumping into the pictures, on the right, you can see all the information you need. And of course, a lot of these files will be downloadable in the description, so you can play with it, see if the sharpness is up to your standards. But I'm here to say, excluding RF glass is amazing. This was the sharpest lens I've ever used, and I've had the 51.2, I've had the 135 f2, the 200 1.8, so I've had a lot of, legendary, end quote, sharpest lenses ever, Canon glass. So I would say this is beyond amazing in terms of sharpness, clarity. Even chromatic aberration wasn't too bad. It was very well controlled, so very, very happy with this lens, and I actually miss it. But anyway, getting into the pictures, we got the 4GT, and you can just see it's tack sharp. Another Lamborghini, and look at just the background. Just it's so beautiful. It's very. I love the way this thing just blows out the background. It's just legendary. And we have another one right here. We're just quickly going through this little portrait shot. Look how tack sharp that is. Beautiful sharpness. And then this was at a car show again. It was just pouring rain, and I had the 1DX Mark II, which is the majority of these shots are taken with. And I was just out in the rain, not giving a care, just shooting cars, in the rain. Didn't matter. And I got a pretty cool shot there again. It should be tack sharp, and it is. Here's another shot with the Porsche. Again, tack freaking sharp. Beautiful clarity, beautiful bokeh in the background. No problem with this lens. Again, another car show shot. Just crazy separation. Here's a motorcycle, a little stupid van in the way, but it's okay. It's blown out. Now we got another portrait here, and again, you can see just tack sharp. It was so beautiful. Focus was always accurate. I never hunted, never had any issues with that. Again, it's a version 1, so imagine how version 2 and now version 3 are even better than this. So moving on to my kid. Tack sharp. Look at that. Tack sharp. Beautiful bokeh. Again, another example. Look at the background. Just gone. I love that. You don't get this on any other lens. And here's my side note, because when I was looking at getting one of these big white lenses, I was debating the 300 f2.8, the 400 2.8, or the 500 f4. The 500 and the 300 were quite a bit cheaper. I think the 300 you get for like $2,500, $2,600 at the time. And the 400 was like 32, 34, it depends. It depends on the range, the time of the year. Usually the best time to get one of these lenses is Christmas time, holiday time. So that's where people are going to post these lenses up for a pretty good deal. So if you're looking to get one, I would suggest in the next couple months, get one of these. But anyway, I chose the 400 because I wanted that 2.8. The 500 is just weirdly shaped, in my opinion. It's f4. I do not just wildlife, I do all kinds of stuff. So that 2.8 is more important to me. I don't mind the extra weight. So I ended up getting the 400, and the 300 was an option too, but I just feel like it wasn't enough reach. So I ended up going with the 400. Also, another side note is I still have the filter. This is the Canon brand, not third party fill filter. I believe it's like 300, 200 bucks. So if you're looking to get this lens, I have the drop-in filter, which you can put a polarizer on here, which is what I usually did for cars. So if you're interested, please message me or comment below. I will sell you this for actually a pretty good deal. And I believe it works on version 1 and version 2, might even be version 3 lenses. Any of the white lenses, 300, 400, 500, 600, 800, I believe will take this drop-in filter. As long as it's a version 1, version 2. I'm not sure on the version 3, but I'm assuming it's the same thing. So if you're interested, hit me up. All right, getting back to the pictures, we have a product shot. I was just like, why not? And right here, you can see on the bottom right, you can see the depth of field is so freaking thin. But whatever. I just wanted to try it, various different things instead of doing like the typical sports or the typical wildlife. Let me see what else it can do. And we got here some wildlife, a squirrel. It is, of course, beautifully tack sharp. And then we have a bird again. Tack sharp. Look at that clarity. Beautiful shot. Look at the compression. I love the compression on it. It's like porn. It's literally like you're watching porn. I love it. I miss this lens so much. For those wondering why I got rid of it, I got a C200 and ended up not really working good with the C200. It worked good, but like weight-wise, transporting it was a headache. So I ended up getting rid of it, but I do regret it. I missed this lens, but if I jump back in, I think I'm going to get the version 3, if I can come up with the money. Another shot, iguana. This has a lot of views on Flickr. This is just crazy shot. Again, the chromatic operation is very well controlled. You don't really see it. All right, so now I did happen to get some teleconverters, which are right here. So I had the 1.4X and the 2X, and of course, the 1DX Mark II. And as you can see, it is beautifully sharp. Now, one thing to note is when you throw on a teleconverter, the AF does slow down. But I would say with the 1.4, it was totally manageable. We're talking maybe it slowed down 5%, maybe 10 if you're really tracking like a football player or something. You might really start to notice it versus it natively being on your camera. But totally manageable if you're just running around or doing, basic stuff. So if you want that extra reach, and again, the sharpness is still there at 1.4x. I got another shot of my kid just to show you more examples. Tack sharp, beautiful sharpness on the eye. Nailed it. And look at that background. Oh my God. And that's like the apartment complex in the background. It's just gone. I love that. Beautiful separation. And then we have a lizard, again, 560, 1.4x teleconverter, and that is beautifully sharp. And this was actually, I remember this shot like it was yesterday. I was just walking, heading home, and I just saw him on the tree, whipped it, took the picture, and AF did perfectly fine. So I think the 1.4 is the sweet spot if you want a little bit more range. But now we're going to get into the 2X, which absolutely worked. Again, if you're casually, I think if you're doing wildlife, you'll be perfectly fine. Sports, you'll probably run into some issues because it is slower on the AF. I think I did pretty well here. We got just an iguana chilling, nothing crazy in terms of AF, but it definitely did pretty good. And I believe you're limited to a 7. I thought it was 5.6, but I believe it's 7.1. So keep that in mind when you're throwing on a 2X. But as you can see, it's beautifully sharp. Look at that. Beautiful sharpness. Oh my God. And then we have another one with just a duck. Again, nailed it. Beautiful sharpness across the board. And then we have a squirrel, 800 millimeters, just making sure these are 2X shots. And yeah, beautiful shots. Now this one, I don't know if I would recommend the 2X. I remember it not being that great AF-wise. But for stationary, like if you're just walking around doing wildlife, I think you'll be fine for that extra reach. It's nice to just have in your bag. But I think the 1.4 is more the sweet spot if you do really want some extra reach and you don't want to invest in the 500 or the 600 or the 800. So that ended up being pretty good. But I ended up getting rid of them because, I really didn't really use them that much. I more so just wanted to test them. All right, now we're going to look at some football real quick. This was the 400 natively on the 1DX Mark II. Was kind of like drizzling on and off. But as you can see, these shots are just beautiful, tack sharp. We're going to quickly go through this. Beautiful, right on the eye. The camera did well. The lens did perfectly fine. I did have this on a monopod. So if you are gonna do, sports photography, yeah, 12 pounds is a lot to carry around all day. So a monopod is definitely a good recommendation. This is probably my favorite shot. Both his feet are off the ground, and of course, I don't even have to check it. It nailed focus. It's a beautiful lens. I miss it. Again, we're gonna quickly go through all this. Beautiful shots. I love the compression of the 400. It's just unmatchable with other lenses, unless you're at the 600, 800, obviously. But yeah, it's just a great overall lens. And now we're gonna get into where you can get this lens and how cheap can you get it. All right, now you're curious about the lens. You might want to look into purchasing it. Well, where do you go? Well, there's several places you can go. I would say the most trustworthy is going to be Photography on the Net or Fred Miranda, as you can see right here. This is a pretty sweet deal. It's already sold, but $27.50. I paid $4,500. This went for $27.50. Now, granted, there's a very valid reason why, as you can see right here. Yeah, it's a little beat up. Doesn't have the original tripod collar on it, but the glass, I would assume, is perfectly fine. So if you're looking for a steal for a 400 millimeter, you're gonna find stuff like this all the time on Fred Miranda and Photography on the Net. Now on eBay, you're gonna kind of have the same experience. Price is gonna vary, as you can see, 3,400, 2,800, 5,000. Oh wow, 5,200 for the version 2. Now that's the other consideration is how cheaper version 2 has came down because of version 3. So if you're willing to spend just a little bit more, you could get the 400 IS2, and that's going to save you, I believe, a bit of weight. What is it, 9 pounds, 8 or 9 pounds versus 12? So that helps out quite a bit. Is that worth the extra $1,200, $1,400 you're going to pay? I don't know. That's up to you. But yeah, that's a really good deal actually for that. Because retail is what, 10 grand, 8 grand, 9 grand, something like that. So yeah. So I would say eBay, Fred Miranda, and Photography on the Net going to be your best places to purchase this lens. $6,500, bro. You are crazy. Nobody's buying that. And that's version 1. Yep. Pay attention to that stuff. So yeah, I love this lens. I miss it. I also got the case too. A lot of these places or people are not going to give you the case as well. And I think the case is definitely important for transportation, especially if you're traveling like overseas or just, across state. So keep that in mind. This one actually includes the case, $4,900, a little steep, but it looks like it's pretty mint. See if he has any other pictures here. Why would he? Why would he have other pictures? But at least you get a case with that. All right, so anyway, beautiful lens. I miss it. Again, if you want the drop-in filter, this takes a 52 millimeter, by the way. Feel free. Again, this is Canon. This is not third party. I will actually give you a pretty damn good deal on this. So message me if you're interested, or if you have any other lenses, the 300, the 400 version 2s, 500, 600. I'm pretty sure this works on all of them. I will double check. But yeah, I love this lens. I miss it. I'm definitely going to get a 400 millimeter again, but I think I'm going to kind of save up some money and get version 3. I didn't mind the weight, but now that we have something that's lighter, I'm okay with waiting just a little bit longer to get the one that's, I think version 3 is what, 7.5 pounds. So that's a pretty big difference if you're going to carry something like that around all day, which is so me. I would so walk around with that lens literally everywhere. I take it to the mall. I don't care. So, I just love the focal length. I love the f2.8. So thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe, comment, share. I will have a Google Drive as well in the comments, so you can download some raw files, play with it, do whatever as you please. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.